Previously on the Guardians of Fehal.
In our last episode, the party made their way to Meyerfield for the Harvest Festival. On their way there, they found out from Felix's eavesdropping the night before at the fighting pits that there are some noble lords that seem to be weighing the options of if Elaine will be replaced and some other nefarious plans that might prove Rhys is guilty of murder. Once they arrive, they end up asking around and meeting the steward of the house, Vil, a very odd woman who just gives some weird vibes to the party. Before the festival actually starts, they go and explore, asking around the town if there's been any more ghost activity, and find that there were a lot of people from neighboring hamlets and villages that went missing over the summer. All in all, it seems that things are not all right in Meyerfield, even though there is a glittering show, performance, and feast for the nobles to pretend all is right with the world. As they go into their roles and head to the Great Hall, it seems like there will be more answers to be revealed over dinner. So, you guys all head up to the hall together, obviously in attendance with Lady Rhiannon and Lord Desternus. He is escorting her, like he's got the arm thing out, being a gentleman and whatever. But it's not like it's more of like just it's very minor touching because
The gentlemanly thing to do.
Yes. So you are led into the keep, and Vil has some of the other servants show the rest of you guys to your seats, since you are not sitting like anywhere important. Like, you get to go in and like get your kind of middling wall seat. So Una, are you watching through Spreul constantly, and are you going to do it in the mansion? Or are you going to do it outside in the pavilion tent?
I guess it'd be wherever the horses are, since I'm a stable hand and I need to be taking care of the horses. So
Okay.
It'll be that area, and I don't think it'll be constant,
Okay, just checking
but
in.
definitely probably every 5 or so minutes, just kind of checking in.
So you and Florent and Rowena, do you let them in on the fact that you're going to be watching occasionally through Spreul's eyes so they can help cover for you, or are you going to keep that ability secret?
No, I probably would have informed them that this was
Okay.
my plan, even when we're in training.
Yeah.
Just to let them know that, hey, this is what's happening. If I look like this, I'm just keeping an eye on our people.
Yeah.
I may not tell them that it's Spreul that I'm using. I'll just say that, hey, I'm able to look through a trance, and when this happens, I just need you to get my back. Because I'm assuming I probably would have tried this a couple of times before, we got here, ideally.
I think that works, because they'll totally help cover for it. So basically what's going on in the stables is it looks like there's a lot of people who are taking care of the horses, but as the evening goes on, there's people gambling, so we might come back to that.
Fun. Oh, so much fun.
Okay, so the Great Hall itself. For those of you going in to get seated early and are being left from Desternus and Rhiannon, who are kind of getting pushed over to where some other noble, it looks like they're having the nobles kind of wait to be introduced. The Great Hall is decorated with fine flowers of fall, bundles of chestnuts and wheat, very similar to the marketplaces outside, only much more elaborate because they got a budget. Even the rafters in the ceiling, which is very tall, probably 40 feet high, have garlands of blooming fall foliage and wheat wrapped up in them. The hall itself is brightly lit with wall sconces, and the far end of the space, it has a raised dais with seats for 12 at a very ornate table. Inside on the carvings of the table with the fine cloth, you can actually see fine detailings in gold as well to highlight the artwork that is on the table. So this is really fancy shit. Everything is very splendid, and long tables all face vertically towards the dais. The torchlight is bright, catching the gold embellishment painted on the raised pieces of all the furniture in the hall, and the air smells sweet and perfumed from the flowers. But there's an undercurrent of the delicious smells creeping from the kitchen to come. So where you guys are going to be seated in this big ass hall.
We're seated in the asshole.
Yes. This hall is about like 145 feet in length and 40 feet in width. And towards the raised dais on like the far end of it, you can see that there are 6 tables that look like they seat 16 people each. There's kind of some curtains drawn around the sides of the dais in the far corner, and there is space between them. And then underneath those 6 tables, moving back further to you guys, are 6 other tables that hold 16. And then there's some columns, and then the servants' tables are all kind of like tightly lined around the wall. And over by the actual tables on the ground, there do appear to be some dishes being set out on very skinny long tables that look like they're going to be carried out and given to the tables of servants. So you guys are seated a little bit differently. Felix and Nora, who you have with you, you have Septima with you because Sternus had the feeling that she was going to be able to kind of flirt answers out of people. So she's the one who's in here. Morna is back with Sophia at in the mansion. You are seated along one of the back tables, kind of in the far back. You're not necessarily with anyone important. You're just kind of with a bunch of other servants and attendants from lords and ladies. You kind of get a sense that there's a mixture of people. There's a couple of people who have stewards here, but there's no like knights or nobility amongst you. Hans and Franz, Josh, and Rowan, you, on the other hand, along with Ross and what did I say his name was?
Chu?
I was gonna, it's Anshu. I keep thinking
Anshu.
it's Angua, so.
Yeah.
Angua?
Angua.
Yeah.
You and Hans and Franz, the ambassador, were seated at actually a place where you're not getting an introduction, but you're seated at a table with lesser knights. So they are knighted. They have a minor title of nobility, but they do not have any actual really land and status. But you are seated at a table with some knights. And then as the evening goes on, it appears to be some of the other lesser nobles that are probably from minor houses start getting introduced. Lord Adrius Feldspar is announced. He's about 45. He looks very nervous, has some sort of ornate gold chain that he's wearing for jewelry, rings, and has a pious air about him. His wife, Jocasta, is announced. She's about 40. She looks to be a little bit very proper and very put together and finely dressed, very wealthy. They seem to having their golds and some gems on them. They have 4 kids with them. There is a house weather that comes in with a surly looking old man who just kind of looks like a bit of a bastard. Very haughty, dressed very finely, and he's got some sort of ram iconography.
Would you say the weather is poor?
His name is Robel Weather. He looks just very crotchety and cruel, and he has a wife with him who's called Iphigenia Weather, and she is more timid and soft-spoken. Followed soon afterwards is announced some other Weathers. There is Adelia Weather, who looks to be in her 50s. She looks very independent and blunt. She has this haughtiness to her, but it's almost I'm here to do my social obligations, and it doesn't look like she's here to do too much games. Her son, Jason Linlow, is introduced with her. He's about 20, and he looks pretty eager to prove himself and stubborn. They're also introduced with a Sylvia Weather. And then there's a Jonathan Lockhart, who is in his 30s. Kind of seems a little bit put together, confident, and everything like that.
Is he good with memory charms?
So did you say that there were 2 sets of weathers?
Yeah, there is a Robel Weather who seems to be kind of the head of the house. He has a wife that's called Iphigenia, but she has a different last name. Or it seems like a lot of the noblewomen keep their like they have their original surname to kind of represent what house they came from.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a Delia Weather, her son Jason Linlow, and then a Sylvia Weather. Delia is introduced as a viscountess or a baroness, but Sylvia is just called Lady, which is kind of weird.
I mean, weird for anyone who knows of anything about noble nonsense.
There's some people in this
They're
group
just
might do
people to the
something.
rest of us.
Yeah, they're just people. But they're in there
like, yes. Yes,
yes.
totally. Person.
Lord Blackburn and his wife are introduced, and they are seated not at the high table, but pretty close to one of the closest to the high tables as you can get. He has got mahogany colored hair, is intelligent, very unruffled, and he has a wife with him, and she is introduced as Annalise Westwood. They're both in their mid-20s. She looks more shy, has a tomboyish features, timid brown hair, and just kind of, seems a little bit sweet. Her husband looks a little bit more of like, he's about business, and he's here to play the game. His wife just doesn't have the same like big dick energy. She's just kind of like, I'm here. I hate parties like this, but I'm here doing my job. So then the next big group gets introduced. So starting oh wait, they are at the high table. There was room for the high table. Okay, so those two are introduced at the high table, and they're seated on the very far right side. Then introduced following is the Lord Disturnus is sat next to Annalise Westwood. And then next to him is set somebody whose name is Renee Blackburn, and she is a woman in her mid-20s. She has mahogany curls, hazel eyes, very bubbly and friendly. It looks like she looks a lot kind of like Carlisle. Like you can tell that there's a family resemblance. And then she's followed in by her husband, Arlert Griffin, who you do know, and some of you met in the fighting pits before. He is seated at Rhys's right hand, which makes sense because he's on the Lane's council and he's the master of law. And then Rhys is introduced, and then soon after him, Rhiannon follows and seated at his left hand. And then Layla, and then his brother-in-law, and then is introduced Lila Westwood, who is like a 19-year-old. She has a very sweet smile and kind of like well-mannered, looks like kind of a romantic soul in many ways. And she's followed by her mother, who is introduced as Baroness Juliana Eris, and she is in her 50s. She has black hair and kind of like a matronly style to herself, and looks a little kind of sad. And then also introduced as her husband, Osmond Westwood, who is in his 50s, his brown hair starting to go white. He looks a little nervous and kind of modest, and also looks a little downcast. And you could see that like the Westwoods and like the other group that comes in, which was introduced as the Hunters, look kind of sad. And that's everybody.
Ugh.
All these fucking nobles.
That's a lot of people.
But yeah, the most noticeable thing is Charon is not seated right next to Rhiannon. She is seated right next to Rhys's left hand, and she's kind of got this very fake polite expression on her face.
And I don't have it in my notes, but which house was Felix's?
All of them.
Every single one.
Every single
Nice.
I don't know,
Where-
what you?
Okay, I did not catch who Karen was seated between.
Karen is seated between Renee Blackburn and Annalise Westwood.
Is that like a member of Westwood's family?
Yeah, give me a roll.
That's a nat 20.
Okay.
Hey!
So
It wasn't for insight. I mean, what were you expecting?
I can't remember if Annalise is...
I mean, is it his wife?
Lord Westwood's wife was named Kaya Hunter.
Okay.
Was she here?
No,
I was
but
gonna
Felix would know because of his noble nonsense knowledge that he has. He would know that Elijah Hunter, who was introduced as an earl, is brother to Westwood's widow. And he would also know that Osmond Westwood, who is married to Elaine's aunt and has the daughter named Lila, whose notes you kind of found like mentioned at Rhys's townhouse, he is cousins with Marcus Westwood, who's dead.
Okay.
So much intermingling.
And they all look kind of not happy to be here, and they look like they're not 100% sure. Like they're here, but like you can tell that they're not. They're like distressed.
They're checked out.
Yeah.
So Annalise Westwood is the sister. I did not catch what.
No,
she
she's
was.
like in her 20s. She's probably like a second cousin to the guy who got murdered.
Marcus.
There's a lot of Westwoods that had kids and married. Okay, I don't got all of them straightened out. So, anyway, so dinner looks like it's getting ready to be served, and before it actually starts, Rhys stands up to do a toast and announcements and stuff like that. So he goes into a speech, and he says, "Honored guests, I welcome you to my home in this most sacred of occasions. Many noble lords and ladies have come to pay tribute to the god of love. Many are neighbors, friends, and yet unknown. As times is troubled in our happy kingdom, let no thoughts of darkness or betrayal enter the hearts and minds of those gathered here today. Instead, we will spend our time in merry and lovemaking to the god of love and passion, who managed to find his own bride in the famed story of Faunus and Satia. Myself, as well as my honored cousin and sister and cousin-in-law, hope you find Meyerfield a fine destination and fair location to see many happy pairings made by the end of the week. Now, many nosy family members," and he kind of like looks around at the table, "who have been pressing me to wonder when I will find my own bride, following the path of many of the guests in this room. I cannot promise that I have been divinely matched by the gods, but I do promise to give a valiant effort and dance with all the noble young ladies over the course of this festival." And there's like a lot of laughs and like cheering. Sam's got the appropriate facial. There's a lot of like kind of like cheering and like comments about that. Like, "Be treated, my daughter!" And then basically goes into a schedule and talks about like the upcoming frivolity and says that him and many of the lords will be going hunting tomorrow to see if they can find something for a special event later. He opens the feast, and then he has like all the servants start bringing out all the courses for this meal. Now, Nora, fortunately, because you're sitting with the servants, there are a lot more vegetarian options. You guys don't get the meats, but Hans and Franz and Rowan, the table you're at, there is a lot more nicer meat options. And then you can see that the courses get a little bit more finer and like elaborate depending on which table you're seated at.
Nom, 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 nom.
Stocks up on all those veggies.
Hans and Franz takes it real slow and only takes food that he can fit underneath the visor. So like long carrots, maybe he'll like cut any sort of meat into a thin strip that he can just
Stab it with a fork and then just put the whole, like, it looks like it's just going into the black abyss.
the whole fork just and it just stays there for a little while, moving around. Comes out empty, goes in for another.
Rowan will just slowly pick at his food and just eavesdrop as much as possible at any nearby table talk.
All right. Give me perception checks.
Also, Hans and Franz, with his helmet on, is slightly turned towards Rhys, continuing to send the bad vibes downwind. Or downrange. Downrange.
Yeah. Perception.
I can't roll above a 10!
Josh.
16.
That's a 13.
I got a 16 too.
Hey.
Oh,
Passive 18.
Of course.
You have a passive 18.
Yeah.
I should have 17
It's got observant.
for perception. It's still annoying that I can't roll higher.
So for Nora, you hear a lot of the similar talk that was going on at the dinner table or like when at the festival, like with the wheat starting, where it was basically, there's a lot of talk about people going kind of missing over the summer and how that was scary. There's more talk about like the ghosts and how like everything was crazy and the reason, and there's a couple people who are like, well, wait a minute, like why didn't anything happen sooner? And she's like, well, Rhys was away in town and we couldn't get him back in town super quick, and it was like there was a period when then he came back and it seemed like he was trying to assess what to do. And it's just fortunate that like, and then he had to leave again. And this, like, there's just a lot of like, kind of, there's a little bit of questioning, like, wait, what actually did happen with the ghosts? What's going on? You hear stories kind of about how like, people are wondering if like the blessings were going to be accurate this year because of like in the past there's just been amongst the servants, they're like sometimes like the sickness comes and it takes even like strong people down, and hopefully it's not too bad. And like, but there just seems to kind of be conversations about that. Some people are talking about how like it's crazy how so many like guards have gotten sick before, and like Father Neri doesn't understand why they keep getting sick and stuff like that. There's also a couple of the ladies' maids are whispering that they think that like Rhys's sister-in-law might finally actually be pregnant, considering like she's been married to her husband for a few years and they haven't had a kid yet. So like there's a lot of whispers about like, oh yeah, like I don't think she's like, she seems like she's ordering looser clothes, like maybe she's actually gonna have a kid. And then they're kind of gossiping about like, oh, does that mean like they're gonna go live somewhere else? Are they gonna stay here? Is Rhys gonna give them more space? Like what's gonna happen with like that?
I had 2 things I would like to ask about in between those different conversations. Like if a certain topic comes up, she would want to inquire about something to whoever is nearby. So on the topic of people going missing, Nora would ask, who actually went missing? Do you know who they were?
A few of the servants say that it was just some of the locals who would come in from Thorpe's, like the Thorpe's by, and it would just be like random people that had to go on various business for the summer. Like, you know, like a family member, like a father went to go to town and then just after like a week of being gone, never returned. There's like instances of like someone sending out like one of their kids, like teenage kids or whatever, to go get supplies from town or just go on errand running and never coming back and stuff like that. But you kind of get a sense that it's like been a concentrated area between like up until around like Phaean to like another like day's journey in each directions and stuff. And it's a lot of the servants even from like the neighboring lands where like they're like, our lords basically started telling people, like the local barons, like don't travel at night or alone or anything. Like, so there was a lot of like, and they're like, it seems like it hasn't happened in a while, but it was definitely a thing this summer.
She would nod and make casual conversation in between. And then when, people getting sick. Where I'm from, I don't think we have any sort of serious illness like that. That's awful. What kind of sickness is it?
And one of the maids was like, it's not really a sickness. It's just sometimes like, you know, when winter comes, people get burnt out and get a cold, and then they're just really feverish and drained. You know, it's like a wasting illness. No one really knows what it is. Father Neri's been able to save quite a few people from it, but it is really scary when it strikes, and it happens occasionally. It's more common in winter though.
Winter. Oh, okay.
Which makes sense. You know, it is cold.
Definitely. Does it only seem to affect certain people, or is it very common where like here?
You know, I never really thought about it, but now that you mention it, I guess it's kind of more of like sometimes it's travelers who come through if it happens like in a flare-up in the summer. There's been instances of that. But normally, like a lot of times the ones who get it are probably the guards. And that's because they just work so hard. You know, they're pulling long hours, keeping watch, and they're out in the cold all day. So it just happens. like an Aaron shake his head.
So much bullshit.
Does it seem like everybody recovers okay, though?
No, some people have died from it, and it's just really sad. But Father Neri, if they catch it early enough, are usually able to try to heal them. But sometimes they just still they take a while to recover, and then they just waste away. There was a couple, I think it was last winter, there was 2 guards that died from it. It was really sad, but Father Neri was able to keep some others from it.
Is there anyone that has actually survived that, though? It seems so serious.
There's a few guards that have survived it. There's, let's pick some random names. There's Louis survived it, Aiden, and then Cohen, not Conan, Cohen.
Barbarian.
And then, yeah.
Still a barbarian, Cohen.
Yeah.
No, in this case, it's Cohen the janitor.
No, it's Cohen the barbarian who can't speak with his teeth and is looking for a good pair of dentures.
My name's Cohen.
All right.
Aaron, do you remember how many specters there were?
3.
There were 3. 3 survivors, 3 specters.
Well, I'm sure there's
Husks
more
of
survivors than that.
men.
No, those are the ones who still work at the castle.
Allegedly.
You know what? There's 4, just because.
Haven't been seen since last winter. All we know is they're alive and well. At least that's what we're told.
There was a 4th
ghosts.
guard, but he went and he ended up leaving to go work somewhere else, is what she said. But he survived. He just isn't here anymore.
I suppose he went up to the swamp.
Do we know that he made it to his next post?
I don't know.
Yeah. Jed just transferred. He's doing well. He recovered and transferred. Went upstate.
Permanently.
Yeah. Was there any other questions at your table?
Indefinite transfer.
Because Lauren, you're nearby listening to this too, like, or you could be listening for other stuff. But you
Nora
guys are
wouldn't
kind of
have
near
anything
each other,
else
so.
yet.
Does Felix know, like, does Rhys tend to be, like, here in winter and go into town in summer, or vice versa, or?
When's the social season around here?
Social season is more of like summer. A lot of the lore, like if they're not having meetings, we'll kind of be out here frequently. But Rhys does come home for like at least once a month, a few times, like, you know, because it's a day's ride and he's got like books and stuff to keep and responsibilities as a landlord. So he does come back and forth, certainly.
So Father Neri is the healer from there?
Yeah, he's the cleric
He's the priest
of the town.
Meyerfield.
Yeah.
We worked with him when we came here to
Give me
address the specters originally.
Actually, Lauren, I'm not going to make you roll for it because you have your memory thing. Father Neri was mentioned in one of the letters. Rhys had written to the head of someone who was on the council like a week or two ago, before all this had happened, and asked if they could send a replacement for Father Neri to Meyerfield. Said he wasn't happy with his performance. So he, you know, like in his desk drawer, he was writing to try to get a replacement for Father Neri.
That weasel.
I suppose Felix will ask. I suppose Father Neri was, well, I suppose he called in for some help or a second opinion then, if he's having so much trouble with it and it's so persistent, this wasting illness.
It could be. I know he wrote a report of what happened with the ghosts and had sent it with his lordship's like men to get it delivered to the temples in town, but I don't think anything's ever come of that yet. They're probably busy, but I know I heard him talking with like some of the clerics that were here for the matchmaking stuff, and they seemed a bit concerned about it. So,
Well, it does sound rather concerning.
yeah, I mean, the sickness though, I mean, that just happens. Like, people get sick in winter all the time, especially when they're outside in the cold all day.
I've never heard of that happening to anyone.
Oh, really? I get colds every year.
Oh, I mean, colds, yes, but a wasting thing, that usually takes years from what I heard. Months at the very least.
She kind of like shrugs, like, I don't know, I'm not a doctor.
Sorry. It's hardly appropriate dinner conversation.
That is a little weird. Like, is there anything else Felix wanted to ask about or no?
He will purposefully turn it to more cheerful things, such as, how splendid the festival looks, and how wonderful all the lords and ladies look in their finery, and how fortunate that it is going on this year, because he heard last year there wasn't one, and how very fortunate it is that he can be here for it.
We had a pandemic.
Shut up, it never happened.
Well, with his lordship being away on his mission in Wolf's Hearth and helping the Feldspars rebuild after, it just kind of makes sense that they didn't throw it. I mean, I'm not surprised that his stares between us. I'm not really surprised Geralt didn't really throw it. Him and Lila just kind of do their own thing, and they couldn't get the same motivation and excitement. But the harvest and everything has been really good this year for Rhys, and look at how, or she wouldn't call him Rhys. It's been really great for his lordship. Look at all the decorations. Cost a lot of money, and Vil did such a good job organizing everything. She just makes everything great, and she's very attentive to details.
Most certainly. It's rather a shame that what is it, Layla and whatever the proper titles would be?
The Lord and Lady, I guess. Yeah, just Lord and Lady.
That the Lord and Lady didn't throw anything in.
Baron and Baroness, I'm sorry, but yeah, go ahead.
That the Baron and Baroness didn't have Vil do something while the rest was away. It's a bit of a shame.
I guess they're not as much of partiers, and then one of them's like, that's not true. I think they just prefer to party in Fehal, not with us townies.
Oh, Felix looks rather intrigued.
It's what I've heard. I've just heard that they get up to all kinds of crazy parties in Fehal.
What sorts of parties? I don't know if you've noticed, but His Grace isn't a frequent party goer.
I mean, he's old, so that's not surprising. And I don't think he really has the money to throw parties. But, at the same time, I know that Gerald likes to go to the Baron. Gerald enjoys going to the fighting pits of Fehal, which I've wanted to go see. I know him and his wife have gotten into arguments over gambling debts and sorts of things that go on there. I believe Layla just likes to go to parties with other women companions in town and stuff like that. But I don't really know. Fehal has a lot more to offer.
All right.
Your Lord Disternus never lets you go party?
Well, lots of it is. I've been working very hard to get to where I'm at. Though I suppose this might be an opportunity to have some fun.
And they're kind of like, I'll drink to that. So, cheering and stuff like that.
Though, oh shoot, he might also be interested in that, but that's not a good time in conversation to bring it up. So.
Get the whole week.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, 3 days, but it's not really a whole week, but yeah.
The whole festival.
Yeah. Did you have anything else you wanted to ask you guys at your table?
Are you talking to the ladies?
Yeah, I was just checking to make sure they had nothing else to ask.
Nothing else for me.
Yeah, you guys are listening in at your table to overhear stuff. So your conversation is very different because the knights are talking a lot about more noble stuff, and then you can also hear a lot of the gossiping from the nearby tables. But for your table specifically, there's a few of the knights where you can tell that some of them are more veterans, and they're kind of a little bit unimpressed with some of the newer knights' desire to prove themselves, and can tell they're trying to pick a fight with them. But some of the people at the table have been knights for much longer. They've actually gone through a couple battles, and then there's a few there that are actually more war veterans, where they've been going at this for a long time and are actually established. And it seems like maybe they're there trying to figure out who, because they've got families and stuff, that maybe they could elevate their kid status by having them marry like one of the other higher lords' sons or daughters or whatever. Also sharing veteran war stories. The mid-tier ones are kind of in the same boat where they're trying to figure out what they can do to like maybe earn more of their lord's favor to get higher status. And then the new guys are kind of like Hans and Franz earlier, where it's like the duel. I want to test my strength against you. So they're a little bit more eager to kind of pick a fight and prove that they got some talent.
Mm-hmm.
The other big thing that you guys pick up on at your table from like the neighboring gossip is there's a lot of talk about how that seems like the knight for House Oak who's at your table and then the knight for House Tobar are talking, kind of like whispering a little bit about their shrines getting destroyed and trying to rebuild from that. But that's kind of like a private conversation that they're having of concern. People are speculating like kind of like why Rhys hasn't settled down yet and like is he kind of going to like do something since Rhiannon's sitting right next to him? Like what's going on with that? Or is he gonna hook up with somebody else? Who knows? There's a lot of there's some comment about how it's Disturnus is trying to hold Rhiannon as a power move because like Elaine's under house arrest and maybe he's trying to like hold her in control. And there's a little bit of speculation about like, is it right for this guy who's like 60 and like unmarried to kind of be like warding this girl, like care, like, you know, is this cool? Like, you know, should we be concerned about this? Then it's also like mentioning how they're kind of a little bit, some of them are enjoying the tension at the table with, they're enjoying the fact that like the Weathers and the Dusternuses are both there and they're kind of enjoying like wondering how that interaction will go down if they actually talk to each other.
Cloudy with a chance of thunderstorms.
Yes. With all the gossiping at the table, is there anything you guys would like to inquire more about?
Would I know what the shrines for Oak and Tobar?
You know the Tobar one. It's where you fought the Black Mist.
Oh, so it's desecrated shrines.
Yes.
Got it. So I could probably deduce that.
Oh shit! Go ahead.
Probably deduce that the Oak Shrine was also a desecrated shrine.
Yes.
Sorry, you were saying?
I realized I didn't have you guys roll some checks for something. Okay. What's everyone's passive? I know what Lauren's passive perception is. She's
13.
god eyes.
17 for Hans and Franz.
16 for Nora.
Okay. So, for 14 and above, you guys managed to spot Lady Tobar, who you did witness in the Queen's Rest in your way back through when Song performed. And you also recognize a 16-year-old daughter there. Orla is at the table. I think they're at table 4.
Orla. Why does that sound familiar?
She helped us with the shrine.
She came up to Rowan and said, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope."
Yeah. So that means Josh and Andrew are here, right?
Definitely.
No.
They're back at the shrine.
Someone's got to attend it.
Yep.
Side note, I know just Felix is also trying to pay attention to what's going on at the tall table.
Okay. So as a side note for Felix at the head table, it definitely, like, what is he just trying to see the body language?
He's probably a bit far to make out words, I'm guessing.
Yeah, from where he's at, it's a bit hard, and there's some pillars in the way. It looks like they're mostly having small talk and pleasantries, though. Rhiannon is in her poker face mode. She is in her, I am a polite woman of society, and I'm going to be a gracious guest, but also she's not being overly flirty. And she's also being very polite with Layla, but she's not really like getting engaged chatterboxy. There's a little bit of like awkward tension that Felix can tell between them. And then for Lord Disturnus seems to be trying to be casual and stuff, but occasionally you can see his eyes wander over to the tables with like how the Weathers, and he looks really like Like he's controlling himself. Like you can tell there's a lot of like, I'm going to be a gentleman, but I'm not happy that these people, like certain people are here. So,
Do we know about why there's tension between them?
You guys could ask. It was brought up at your table.
Yeah.
Actually, they probably would be asking you, and they're like, so does Lord Discernus still hate his ex-daughter-in-law?
I haven't noticed anything, but I suppose it's highly possible. I'm relatively new to the... What would the term be?
Guard, man-at-arms.
I'm new to my post.
New to
Yeah.
my post.
New to this post.
Fairly new to this post. So I'm still learning all of the ropes. Is there a history there that I'm not informed of yet?
Oh boy, you don't know the story. Well, the House Goodwine and House Morrow Knight, who are the veterans, are like, oh, you don't know about all of that family drama? I'm sure you've heard stories. And then how the Rose Knight and House Oak Knight and House Tobar Knight are like, let's not bring up old wounds at a festival supposed to be bring people together. And then House Goodwine's Knight is like, well, that's why I'm asking. I want to know if he's forgiven her. I mean, technically, it's like, we don't know all the details that happened, but like, I don't see why her and her daughter had to get disowned. And the Oak and Tobar Knights and the Rose Knights seem a little bit like you can tell that like they seem to have a little bit more respect for him, where they're like, let's not talk about this. But the other guys are like, no, this is great. And they're like, so you don't know this? You don't know that whole history, and you work for them? Where have you been the last few years?
Grew up in a little farther away from Discernus's lands originally. Recent relocation brought me to his service.
Lord Discernus' firstborn son, allegedly, we don't know, but apparently allegedly tried to have him assassinated. We're not really sure why. This was a few years ago, right after the Iron Valley invasion. His grandson's gone. We don't know what happened to him. He might still be out there, as he guards his words. He's like, he might still be out there potentially. Then he executed his son, but then his granddaughter got put in charge for a while, but then he disowned her and then also cut off that lady over there, which is her mom, and his ex-daughter-in-law. And he points towards like the one that got introduced as Sylvia Weather. So it's technically his eldest son's former wife, and doesn't really seem to want to have anything to do with her. I don't know why.
Above table. So Sylvia is Lord Discernus's daughter-in-law.
Former daughter-in-law.
Right, since his son is now dead.
Yes.
She is nobility, but doesn't have a title.
Yes.
She's with the family, but she's not.
She's with her side of the family.
Got it. Okay. Sorry, continue.
The Oak Knight kind of trying to change the subject is like, well, Lady Sylvia has done very well for herself in Fae, and she is really good at fashion and tends to make make clothing that becomes popular. So she seems to be doing well for herself without his approval or anything. And they're like, I just want to know why he's so mad at her, and what his granddaughter Vivian did that she had to go live in the Blooming Meadows. What about you, Metalface? Do you know?
The helmet will turn towards him. And a fork will lift up, and he'll eat the food off the fork and turn away.
Guy gets a little huffy. He's like, hey, I asked you a question. There's no need to be rude about it. Are you new like him, or have you been around for a while?
I've been around, but not with Lord Discernus.
The Oak Knight is getting a little irritated at the other knight who's kind of pestering you guys with these questions, and is getting a little hot-headed, where he's like, there's no reason to be spreading gossip about this at this table. And he's like, you don't get to tell me what to do. And he's like, besides, you're not sworn to Discernus. And he's like, I know, but I still think it's wrong for you to be gossiping and pestering two of his men who are new about it. And he's like, well, are you trying to pick a fight with me? And he's like, I am. And he's like, oh, the two of the vets at the table are like, oh God.
Stop being so green.
Like they both like look at you. Excuse me?
You prattle with each other like children. The size of your sword matters not these places.
They both look so offended. And the one from House Oak is like, hey, I was trying to agree with you and not have you talk bad about your lord in front of these idiots. And then Neron's like, I am not an idiot and it's public knowledge. I don't see why it has to be a secret. I just wanted some insight. And they're just getting huffy with each other. And it seems like they're mad at you for insulting them and also mad at each other. And it's just turning into like a ridiculousness of like hot-headedness. And
perhaps you should stop spoiling the food at this table and take your prattling outside.
The Tobar Knight just kind of laughs and he's like, I'll drink to that one's advice. And he'll like take a drink.
Hans and Franz will lift a tankard, lean back, slight crack in the helmet, and just try to guzzle it down through. They don't have straws in this day and age, do they?
No.
He probably won't really drink then.
Okay.
He'll just lift a tankard, like raise it like a cheers motion, but then set it back down.
You said the Oak and Tobar conversation about the destroyed shrines was more of a private conversation. Right.
Yeah, it's Oak when he's like kind of calming down and stuff. Like Tobar kind of, who is more of a veteran knight, kind of asks him about, like he'd heard rumors that there had been trouble with like evil spirits in their lands, and then they kind of start talking and whispering about it and stuff like that.
I mean, if we're like really close to them, I don't think Rowan would move, but I think Rowan, after the little disagreement that they were all having, would sort of settle up next to the Oak Knight and sort of, I don't want any bad blood between houses. That's not our job. We're here to protect our lords. And
we're here to spill blood, not spread blood.
So I apologize for any rudeness from the table, and he'll raise a tankard to cheers. And then to the Tobar Knight, he'll say, now I heard rumors. Sorry, I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but I heard rumors about your shrine being destroyed or ruined in some way not too long ago. And he'll turn back to the Oak Knight and say, but I hadn't heard anything about your shrine. Do you have any idea what's going on?
Give me a persuasion check or some sort of charisma check. Because it's obviously a very touchy thing.
Persuasion +2. Ooh! 18 +2, 20.
Oh, Jesus. They kind of look you over and stuff and lean in and they're like, not many people know about that unless they're followers of more of the old ways. So I assume you have some sort of connection with spirits, which Rowan would take to mean not the gods, but more of like the worshipping of fae spirits and like minor little celestial gods.
That I do.
So the Oak Knight is like, it just happened this past summer. We have a few shrines on Oaklands that have been desecrated.
I've seen small, in a hushed voice, small circles on the road that have been desecrated as well. And I can't help but think that there's some connection. Was there anyone nearby when these things happened?
The Tobar Knight said one of our druids was unfortunately killed. The other ones who heard the cry managed to seal off the well, and then some adventurers fought whatever was in there, but Our Lady is gifted with the sight, and she saw the spirits gave her a vision of a tree that could walk and make things grow again, but there's foul things coming through the forests, I tell ya. Makes me anxious. And Oaks kind of nods, and he's like, well, don't tell it in front of anybody else, but being a Green Knight myself, I'm a little worried about being able to protect the Oaklands, since nobody really seems to know what the thing was that attacked the shrines. And they're just harmless spirits. I mean, they just do little favors and ward the area. Like, there's no reason to, like, destroy them.
I wonder if trying to get like very hushed,
I know.
like right up next to them. I wonder if there's something trying to come through from the other side.
Well, that's a scary thought, but there's fate portals all over the Cater Forest. And far further south, why would anything need to destroy shrines to be able to come through? They could just come through any of the Fey portals that, well, I guess they're more guarded, says the veteran guy from the Tobar family. He's like, I don't know. The fact that our Lady has been getting more visions and uneasy makes me think that things are going to get worse before they get better. He kind of like says, I'd be shocked if Lady Tobar didn't have words with your own lord about it while they're here. See if he knows anything, since he's got lands in the Cater Forest.
That is a good question. Definitely something to think about. And anyway, we're not here to
we gotta
worry about any of that. We're here to enjoy our time.
Yeah, you got your eye on any pretty person here?
Well, no, there's
I like that tree over there. It's got a nice bark.
He doesn't look like a tree, you silly.
I know.
There's a lady back home waiting for me. So I'm more here on a business trip.
Oh, like the Oak Knight leans in. What's she like?
She's a
real fine gal.
tall drink of water.
Give me a deception check.
Okay, what is my deception? +2, okay. 17.
Are you your full height? Like, still
Yeah.
almost, okay. Oh, she'd have to be able to be with you. Like,
I mean,
the height difference. I mean, how would it even work? And then, like, the Tobar Knight's like, you are far too full of your hormones. It's either anger or lust out of you. If you want to... No, he's smacking the Oak Knight, because the Oak Knight was making a comment about how would it even work if she wasn't tall. He kind of like leans over. He's like, are any of the girls from your house single that you came with?
he'll sort of lean back, look around, think deeply. You know, not that I know of, but I think maybe ask around, see if there's anyone.
Yeah, do it. I mean, the two that are over there are really cute.
Who's he pointing
What
at?
was the
He's pointing at Septima and Nora.
That's right. Septima. I was trying to think of her
Septima's
name.
the flirt.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that one. He'll sort of motion to Septima and pointing to Nora. I think I remember hearing that one's taken.
Really? Oh, but she's so
Dungeon
cute.
Brown's like, his helmet turns. The one on the left is a real flirt.
The one with brown hair?
Yeah.
yeah, she's cute. She's a little older for me. And then the Tobar Knight's like, someone actually who will not put up with your bullshit then.
Johannes and Franz is just now ticking around in his head. What do you mean that Nora might be taken?
I didn't know this.
Yeah. Like,
Well, I'm not gonna auction off my sister.
No. Like, I hope that Rowan was. I don't. Oh no. Just he's.
I think after a little while, I assume, is this like over the course of the night?
Yeah, this is over dinner. Eventually, there is a play that happens. Like Rhys hired in actors to perform a little play. But...
Well, later during dinner, I feel like he's had a good decorum with Oak and Tobar. So he'll sort of lean in, get a little hushed again. What are your thoughts on Lady Lila? Rhys's sister-in-law?
Leela. Leela's his sister. Lila is Westwood's niece. I know I shouldn't have named them both that, but it's too late. Leil.
Wait, his sister-in-law?
Or no, cousin-in-law, technically. Cousin-in-law. He's married to his, she's married to his cousin, yeah.
Yeah, what do you think of her? What's your take?
The Oak one is like, I don't know, she's really pretty. I wouldn't say no if she flirted with me.
I mean, you're not wrong there.
Yeah, the Tobar one is like, jeez. I don't know. I've been around a few times, and I don't know. She just kind of is seems a little bit of a flirt.
Yeah, when we got here, I don't know. I got some weird.
Oh wait,
weird
are you talking about the one who flirted with you?
No, I am talking about
his sister. Okay,
his sister, his cousin-in-law.
I don't know. She basically gets to act like the lady of the house right now, even though she's not. And
right.
I mean, look, I'm not an expert in male beauty, but I've heard stories about her husband. He's kind of a little bit of a man whore, I think is the nicest way to say it. But I don't know. I always got the feeling Lila would have wanted somebody more like Rhys, since, I mean, he is good looking, I guess. I don't know. Is he good looking? He kind of like looks at Oak. He's like, do you think he's good looking? And then Oak's like, I don't know. I'm not into men. But he's like, I don't know. I'm curious to see what she'll do when Rhys eventually does get married and she doesn't get to be like lady of the household as much anymore.
That will be a sight to see.
But I don't know. I remember her from years ago. She's always kind of been a little bit airheaded and vain, but she's doing her job of being a lady. I mean, Vill's the one who organizes everything, and she's been around forever.
How old is she?
I don't know. When I started working for the Tobars, gosh, when was I knighted? I've been with them for like 20 years, and Lady Tobar's always had to come to Meyerfield, and 20 years ago was back when Lord Rhys's father was the head of the house, and I believe she was here then. I didn't really know her, though. She's been a servant here forever. Yeah,
she has that look about her. Just, I don't know. Feels like she's been around for a real long time.
I don't know. I mean, I think she's got to at least be in her 40s, and Oak's like, no. Well, he's like, no, not 40s. Maybe 50s? I don't know. And Oak's like, no, she looks so young. There's no way. And he's like, well, she's always been pretty. I mean, if she asked me out for a drink, I wouldn't say no, but she always seems to go for, like, strong men, and I'm getting a little too old and wiry, but I don't know. She's always been here, and she's just one of those people I think that ages really nicely.
She was definitely making eyes at some of our more burly guards on the way in, myself included.
Oh, maybe you should go for it. He kind of like,
no, I wouldn't do that. No. I appreciate the
encouragement.
Encourage.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Vote of
But,
confidence.
but I'm pretty faithful.
Oak's like, I might go for it if she approaches me.
I don't think there's much that would stop her, so I'd say go for it.
And then Tobar's like, didn't you just say the other one, it was too old for you? And he's like, yeah, but I don't know. There's just something about her. And he's like,
It feels weird playing Rowan like this.
I know. It's so fucking weird, Aaron.
I'm not in my skin. I don't think I have any other
Yeah.
questions for them, so we'll just kind of keep chatting and drinking. I'll feign drinking for most of the night.
Oh my god.
Feign drinking.
Feign drinking.
Yep.
You'll quaff quite a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Una had elected to stay outside in the stables with two of Disturnus's guards that are also passing as grooms and like people that man the horses. So your contact inside has been Spreul in spider form on Nora's shoulder. So I guess like there's about, from where we left off with the others, it's been about 3 hours. Like Una knows they went in for dinner. She's been watching it throughout the evening. She's seen a play happen, but we're kind of gonna just say there's about a 3-hour timed thing we have to play with here for Una to fill however she wants to be gathering information or just watching. We established as well also you felt comfortable enough telling the Disturnus guards that like you could zone out, like you might zone out occasionally, so don't like just act natural.
To cover for me if they see me all of a sudden just zone out, yeah.
Yeah, so in the stables, there's so many horses here. Like the stables are quite large and it looks like they've actually erected other lean-to areas to kind of keep the horses sheltered in case it rains. So there's some add-on tarps and stuff over to protect them. And you can see it's not just like the people who normally manage the Meyerfield stables in here. It's also like all of the other nobles' servants who are groomsmen and like running around, like getting stuff prepared, tending the horses. And you can actually see a lot of them have like supplies and stuff they're laying out and they're checking like the saddles and the horseshoes and everything like that. Like there's a lot of stuff going on where you're like, isn't it kind of like, it's a little crazy. So in addition to the addition onto the stable, you can see that there's a lot of activity and probably more than Una was expecting, where it looks like there's people preparing horses. Like they're checking the saddles to make sure they're secure. They look like they're getting some sort of like, they're making sure the horses are in good condition. Like they're checking their shoes, they're brushing them. They're also looking like they're putting, they're getting other tools and stuff ready by where all like the nobles, like especially the higher ranking nobles, have their horses.
So
that's
question,
basically what's going on.
Stable.
Yes.
Is this like where all horses are or just guest stables?
So Disturnus, because Lord Disturnus is one of the highest ranking nobles here, his horses did get put within the original stable building, and all of the lesser nobles who came, like their horses are kind of going under like the makeshift lean-tos.
No, I was just curious because that might play into something later.
I guess like what's Una's plan for watching with Spreul? Is she mostly is she doing like, is she constantly watching what's going on, or is she dipping in and out like every 5 to 10 minutes just to make sure nothing crazy's happening?
Probably dipping out about every 5, probably about every 10. So like every 10 minutes she'll probably sit and watch for like 2 or 3 if she feels like something's happening.
One of the things that if you were checking in, most of the conversation that Una would have overheard that she might have listened to a little bit more intently was when Nora and Felix were doing all of that like questioning. You know, like when they were like, wait, there's like a sickness, like there's a plague, like, or like there's people who get ill in the winter, and like something to do with like people who are the guards get it more, like, and because they're outside more. Like that's she probably heard that conversation. So I would say that would not be metagaming for you to have that knowledge, because I think the way I described it before was like a wasting sickness where you just kind of get like a really bad cold. I guess like what's Una's plan for gathering information? Is she just eavesdropping as she's working, or like?
Yeah, probably, I mean, it's gonna be definitely more spy roguey stuff, you know, because like with stables, like usually you have to like walk down to where the feed is and then walk to your horses. So like as she's like doing these passes, she'd be like, oh, I forgot this, and then she'll like walk over and maybe try to get a conversation, but primarily being more focused on workers of this town, like not like foreigners, but maybe like she might focus on the families that are kind of against Elaine, because I think there's like 2 of them that like one's daughter was supposedly gonna go with Lord Fancy Pants, like, so she might like see if she can see these people, like, or like see their crests and see if she sees anybody from there, but she's not gonna like go to them specifically, but definitely focusing around Lord Rhys / Fancy Pants / Rhiannon's ex-lover / Andrew's bane in the ass.
So you pass the Westwoods. You know their sigil very well because you guys have talked about it a lot. They are talking with, it looks like, some servants that have sort of like a chain, a heraldry that has a white tree on it. And if you want, you can give me a history check, because there is a chance that you would know who this is with your time hunting.
History, huh? I have a +1.
Yeah.
That's a 5.
Nope. You're like, it's a pretty sigil. You overhear their servants talking, and it seems like they are both surprised that, like, you know, they're kind of surprised that they are here. And they said, yeah, they're all are like, Lord Osmond Westwood is very upset about his cousin dying, and that he's not happy about it, but they wanted to come here and see if they could find answers. The hunters say yes. Lord Hunter's very worried for his sister, because you kind of deduce that Lord Hunter is the brother of Westwood's widow. So like, it seems like they're kind of apprehensive, and they're like, we don't know what happened. And it seems like the family is very interested in like finding answers into what happened. And the odd thing that surprises you is the servants from the Westwood house that have that Lila is from, they don't seem to think it was Elaine. Like they know that's an option, and the hunters are asking them that, and they kind of seem like, I don't know, there's not really another explanation, but it seems unlikely. And that is a little bit surprising to Una, just because of the fact, you know, you would think like it seems like they're very focused on justice, but it doesn't seem like they have a specific target for it. Like, the hunters were more likely to be kind of like anti-Elaine, but then when they see the Westwoods are a little bit like torn about it, they're like, well, I mean, it is all speculation, who knows? So that does surprise Una a bit. Who was the other thing you said you were trying to listen to? Just about like Rhys stuff?
Rhys stuff. Also figuring out where Rhys's stable, like tack stall is. If like where he keeps his equipment, and also if there's like, so like with horseshoes, sometimes like they put like an adhesive on it.
Yes.
If there's like,
if that's around
a stall where like smiths would be, because like I know base knowledge of that, would I know if there's possibly any sort of thing that could be used against leather, because like
there is animal there. Let me see. I mean, they have glue. I know they probably have stuff for, they probably have things to tighten the belts and make sure that they don't fall off. And Una would know that just from being in the guild, and also from spending time with Rowena. Like, that's one of the main things they're gonna check, is this, how good there's, because there's been a lot of nobles that have died from horse falling accidents.
I don't know what to talk about.
But you can probably find some tools and stuff. You find actually like there's polishes in there as well, where they probably look like they clean their boots and stuff like that, like, you know, shine their shoes. There's oil for maintaining the leather. There's riding crops. There's spurs. There's stuff like that. There's probably other tools that I just can't think of right now.
Is like the tack stall guarded? Like,
it's not that it's guarded, but right now, like, it's been running back and forth in it. And then actually, give me a perception check.
Perception. Well, apparently Google hates me, and that's a 10 or passive of 15.
With your 15, you overhear the reason why there's so much more running back and forth and like getting horses ready is because their lords are going hunting first thing in the morning.
Ah. Good to know.
So it's a little busy right now. I would say the first hour and a half, like there's a lot of rushing back and forth in there. A lot of people going in there to grab supplies. However, as it hits the hour and a half mark and most of the horses are taken care of, the stable hands start relaxing a bit, and then people start kind of drinking, socializing, and doing a little bit of gambling. So that's when it's unoccupied.
Good to know. Good to know.
And then also give me, you wanted to know which one Rhys's horses
where Rhys's horses were, and like where his specific stuff would be.
Okay.
No, for no good reason at all, but you know.
Give me a...
So that would be an 8 or a passive of 15. I really hate Google Dice right now.
You find the section of the stable where like his horses are. However, you are not successful in figuring out which horse is specifically Rhys's primary horse, because you know he has a cousin and he has like his cousin-in-law, his cousin's wife, and then there's other like horses like of the house, but you're not really sure which one is his.
Hang it. Do I remember the one that he was riding when we saw him in the parade with Rhiannon when we were in the Valley of the Flowers? Do I remember what that one looked like?
Give me a... I didn't describe it, but there's a chance Una might remember. Give me an intelligence roll.
That's fine. That's a 19.
You remember it. It is a... Do I give him a black horse? Oh, he cares about optics. Would he have a black horse? That's a little...
Maybe. Probably. If Una remembers. You could have him have a gray horse that's an Appaloosa. So it's like a white and black blanket, because that's very showy and very Rhys.
I like that, yes. And you know more about horses than me, probably because of your
My sister
so,
hopefully will not be listening to this and criticizing me for not calling it its proper term.
She don't gotta know.
Oh my gosh. Like, I know my basics, but like all I know is like it's like Appaloosa dapple coloring with an Appaloosa blanket, and like they come in these shades, and that's about as much as I remember from my sister tormenting me about horses. So
no, he's like a My Little Pony, and it has like the little tramp stamp. I mean the cutie mark on its rump. I don't know what it is. It's probably something like evil looking. No, he wouldn't have an evil looking horse, so we'll say it's an Appaloosa. Is it Appaloosa? Appaloosa. Okay, an Appaloosa.
I mean,
horse.
that seems very him, very flashy, yet still can be evil because they're
feel...
extremely temperamental.
Yeah, that would make sense for him. That would make a lot of sense for him. So, yep, you recognize it from the tournament, and that was good memory, Megan. I'm proud of you for thinking about that.
Things. Yeah, so I guess if I see the horse, I'm gonna just study it and like think about it in my head and just kind of know where this thing is, and
okay,
and then I want to see if I can find an untamed horse or a more wild horse and use the leather polishes to try to make that untamed horse look like Lord Rhys's horse.
I think it would be hard because like the polishes you have aren't exact colors and they're shiny. So like, you know what I mean? Like even if you found a horse that was white underneath, and like Una can spend her time doing that as she's like working and stuff, but I would say like just knowing what they have for the house, like it's probably would be very difficult to find like an exact match. And then also when you get a hold, like if you got a hold of like the shiny stuff, like the polishes, like for boots and the saddles, like it's very it's like very oily looking, like, you know, it's very shiny. So like it would be like half the horse is like really shiny.
Right. This is what I wish I had my dyes still.
She probably wouldn't have used all of them for that dress.
I don't know if I'd have enough though to cover a horse.
No, and they weren't like the colors of the horse, but like you do have them for other things if you wanted to make like a paint bomb. That goes,
Hey,
like
that might be for later.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Give me a percentile roll too while you're standing like over there and like listening and trying to like look like you're doing something, and then also
71.
Okay, with that, to answer your other question from earlier about you want to know kind of what Rhys's servants are talking about. The stable hands are kind of complaining about how much work there is to do. They're complaining about how cousin-in-law Layla is always is so picky about what her horse looks like, and she's not even going on the hunt tomorrow, so why does her horse have to be brushed and everything? And they're just kind of bitching about things. And basically there's a lot of speculation amongst them, like, is Rhys gonna actually like get married, or is he gonna wait and see what happens with like the Duchess? They don't seem to be talking like pro or anti. They're kind of just like, what do you think's gonna happen? You know, like if he did become like the Duke, does that mean we're gonna go to Fehan? Would I like living in Fehan? Yeah, it'd probably be nicer. I feel like the palace would be less creepy. They kind of start talking about like if Rhys gets married, do you think that like who he'll pick? They don't really know as much politics though, so they're kind of just like whatever, and they seem more like down to earth people. The comment that catches Una off guard a little bit though is they say, I hope whoever he marries is not so frail that they can give him kids and not die of childbed fever like his mother did.
Interesting.
But they don't seem to talk like they're abused or anything, or they don't seem to have negative opinions of him or Rhys, or like of him or Elaine. They kind of do complain more so about his cousin and wife. Like they say that she's a diva and very like fake nice and passive aggressive, and they say Gerald has such an inferiority complex, and you remember how he wanted to get a horse just like Rhys's, and then he realized he couldn't like he still didn't look as grand on it, or wasn't as good of a huntsman, and then he just was embarrassed and he got rid of that horse and then got a different horse. Like, you know, they're just kind of like they're like bitching about their bosses.
That's okay. We all do it. Interesting. And his mom died in the castle. They find the castle creepy. That's also interesting. Because I find the castle very creepy.
Is that just because Lord Fuckboy
dude,
lives
not
there?
just because of them. I totally think he's enslaving people in his basement. He's like putting on a fake shiny glow front, and like his whole underwear is just like probably there's a portal to hell down there. Who knows? Some demon realm thing.
It's like Ghostbusters where she like opens her fridge.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. That's what Una's envisioning in her mind. I guess I would see what Olet and Rowena are kind of doing, seeing if they're just listening or if they're standing guard and watching our horses, because we're I don't know if we're unliked here, but just kind of keeping an eye out for them as well as like when I'm running back and forth, and just seeing what they're doing as well, since obviously they're not very trained in this either. And I might actually, if possible, spend time to summon my unseen servant so he actually does some of the stuff for us, so I don't have to, so I can keep doing other things.
Rowena is definitely the one who's managing your guys' horses because she's just the one most comfortable with them. Fulent is kind of going around and doing the same thing Una is doing, where he's looking busy and trying to get like a read on what's going on here. So if you guys reconvene around the horses, Fulent says basically that he's overheard there's a lot of speculation about what's going on in terms of like Rhys succeeding, but it seems to be a mixed bag amongst the servants. They don't really seem to care one way or the other. He said that he's been trying to, he got a little bit of luck actually talking to some of the other servants, and he noticed that like he heard some of them are like complaining that like their lord has more money now but isn't getting paid as well. There's a lot of speculations about who's gonna marry who here. And he's like, I heard more stories about people going missing like over the summer, like you mentioned earlier that you heard through he gestures whatever it is you heard through. And then Rowena says, I've had a few people be interested and try to ask me why we're here exactly, considering that most people would think, like, since Lord Disturnus has never really come to one of these festivals before, even though he's, you know, somebody who gets invited a lot by his station. And a lot of people think it's weird that he brought Rhiannon. They seem to be thinking that's inappropriate, and she kind of just looks like really irritated by that idea.
Interesting. That he brought Rhiannon.
Well, yeah, like a lot of people think that's weird because, you know, she's not his ward. And Rowena seems a little bit irritated and like indignant on it. Like they're implying there's something creepy about it. So
interesting. Curious why they would think it's creepy. Because everyone knows that he and Lady Elaine had a good relationship for the most part. So like it makes sense that because Lord Rhys would technically be next in line to, and since he's in the middle of the conflict, that she would go to the next trusted advisor, which would be him. It's like it makes sense that he would, in a way, especially since Lord Rhys is in the middle of it. So instead of, because that would obviously be kind of a red flag if all of a sudden, hey, you guys were engaged, you're not engaged. Oh, by the way, now you're my ward. Like, to me, it's interesting.
I don't think hang on, let me see if like what Rowena and Florent know. Florent says that he thinks that people view her as like a political, whoever holds her holds a powerful political hostage. So they might be viewing him as, you know, not so much thinking in the friendship route, but like he just wants to control what happens with the Iron Valley more than anything else. And also he is a widower, so technically he could try to force her to marry him if he wanted to, but he wouldn't. And then Rowena's like, I think that's what they were implying. But she says, I don't remember ever hearing that Lila was ever engaged to Rhys. It would have been more publicly announced, or something would have been officiated by the temples for such a political alliance. So if there was some sort of agreement, it would have been more public. So maybe he hasn't actually broken anything off yet. But I agree with you, Una, where it would be really suspicious.
I'm very, very curious. That is for sure. And unfortunately, without questioning Lord Rhys himself, there's unfortunately just more speculation that we can do. I would be curious if there's a way to get into the castle.
I think you could walk through, like, servants are coming and going. If you wanted to try to go in, where are you going to try to go?
That's a great question.
And Florent says, if you're planning on sneaking around, I definitely wouldn't do it right now. I would wait till it's much later in the evening and you could get somebody else with you who could be more stealthy. It's probably dangerous to go alone, but...
I agree with that. Definitely towards the end of the night, before the hunt, and...
Knowing the hunt will probably be pretty early in the morning, so lords might not stay up past, like, 10 or 11, but...
No, I definitely think it would be pertinent for me to see if my friend would be willing to look around as well. And then also just being here before the hunt would be ideal.
Florent's like, we might have to be here if Lord Disturnus decides to go.
That is a hopeful question. I will be here, I think, either way. I do have an idea to possibly... How would she put this?
I don't know. Florent is looking confused and Rowena is like raising an eyebrow like, okay? Like,
I don't know how she would put this because she wouldn't tell him. Well, so what Una wants to do is, because traditionally, like, they get the horses ready, they test the straps, and then after that, they don't ride the horses themselves before they give them to. Sometimes they do, depending on how far away it is. But then the moment that Lord Rhys was gonna hop up on there, have all of a sudden his strap break. and then he would fall off his saddle onto the ground and hopefully in a pile of mud. So I think that she would be like, I just want to see who's all going on this hunt. I think would be like observe who is going and who's sitting, standing, riding by whom. I've done that before.
Give me an intelligence roll.
Intelligence.
Or actually, no, give me or wisdom.
Natural
Wisdom.
20 plus my wisdom is 2, so 22.
One thing I will say that Una would probably consider, if she made him where he actually fell off of his horse because of the strap breaking, that probably would have really serious consequences, whoever managed his saddle. So she knows that if she does this, that servant might get whipped or put in a lot of trouble.
Sad.
Because
that's true. That's very true.
Because it's like, it's a noble, like, they didn't check it enough, and then it, like, literally they fell off, and if that would have happened when they were riding fast, they would have died. Like, it's up to the Lord's discretion, but she would know that, like, that would probably be bad for whoever the person was, versus, like, if she did, like, the horse prank thing, like, something with, like, painting the horse, or, like, dust of, like, whatever, like, you couldn't necessarily pin that on whoever had the strap thing.
That's true.
Like, he'd still be mad about it, but they couldn't pin it on, like, the guy or, like, the guy managing his saddle, to, like, the straps for safety. Although it would be funny if what?
Oh, I have an idea.
Okay.
Let me hash this out. Yeah, no, kind of just finish out the evening. Maybe try to actually talk to any of Lord Rhys's servants and, just see if they've, like, seen anything cool in the castle, and that, like, this palace, house, mansion, whatever they call it, kind of gives me creepy vibes. If they can tell me, like, the history, if they've ever seen any ghost, kind of just, like, fangirl, like, haunted housey fangirl about this place, and, like, just, like, try to get information as, like, a fellow stable person about, hey,
sure.
This is cool.
So if you wait until about an hour and a half in, between that and then the 3-hour mark of where we left off with the rest of the party, they start relaxing more and drinking and, like, gambling, and there's actually some people from the yard, like, there's other kind of, like, lesser men-at-arms that weren't knights, so they weren't, like, high enough to kind of be in the house, at the table, because there wasn't room. Like, people from the yards are coming in and kind of, like, gambling and making small talk, and, like, people are wandering a bit more, so there's more options of, like, where Una goes and who she talks to. So there's the stable hands, of course, but then there's also a few, like, of Rhys's, like, off-duty, like, men-at-arms and stuff that are not on patrol at the moment, that are kind of wandering around, passing a drink around, talking with the other knights that are visiting, and gambling a little bit. Like, they're basically playing, like, dice games with each other and gambling, like, silvers and coppers and stuff like that.
Interesting.
So who does Una want to go talk to?
She'd probably try to clean herself up as much as possible. She'd probably use wand of prestidigitation to make herself look good and clean and not smelly from working in the stables all day. Maybe, like, let pieces of her hair down, try to, like, girl and femme it up, Okay. Then maybe, like, unbutton it a little to show off her cleavage, so that way she, like, draws some attention. As sexy as she can be with what she's wearing. And, like, she's small, so she has that petite thingy going for her, so.
Fluent says he'll watch the horses and he's gonna gamble, or, like, he'll stay and kind of do the gambling thing. Rowena says she might go walk around the yard and kind of, like, socialize as well, but she's gonna go in a different, like, direction.
I will cast my unseen servant and have him patrol, like, so, like, have him walk back and forth in front of our stalls, like, where our horses are, and then if someone just comes, to have him come and tap me on my shoulder. If he sees someone that looks like a human creeping in shadows, he needs to run to me And tell me, how far away is this? This is probably going to be further.
Wait, isn't
It's
there
60
actually?
feet.
Is there a range?
So I definitely could not do that.
Yeah, you could have him go warn Fullent, who is going to be staying gambling, because he's going to probably be within 60 feet on the
We'll
shoulder.
do that. Oh my god, he's going to get so freaked out that someone just tapped him on the shoulder.
Are you telling? Are you telling
Yeah,
him about this
probably.
before you do it?
Like-
Okay, I think he'll actually laugh a bit and say it's fortunate that you ended up being a Disturnus servant, since it's not so weird to have magic.
That's good. I mean, my guy's like secret and like small.
Yeah.
I'm imagining this is like a little 2-foot little servant, you know?
Yep.
That like
Yep. He's just. He can do that.
Okay. Any whoosies. Yeah. Probably go flirt with the guards, because why not? Get myself in trouble right away.
Oh my god. Okay, so with his guards, I guess because there could be a wide spectrum of the people. Like, what kind of guard is she looking for? Is she looking for old, young? Is she looking for dumb looking? Is she looking for somebody who's smart? Like, what is she? Standoffish,
Probably
friendly? Like,
the loner. Definitely go for the loner. The one that looks like he probably shouldn't actually be your guard. Like a weakling who like, it probably isn't very attractive, like the nerd in high school, like the ones that sit on the bleachers and like are afraid to talk to girls. That's who she's gonna go after. And then if nothing comes of that, then she'll probably go look for someone who is more on the dull side, like, but like super strong and buff and like wants to show off and impress. It's like those I think are the two that she'd go for, and hopefully it'd be someone in the range of like her age, like 16 to like 30, I guess, somewhere in there. Not too old, not too young, unless she gets nowhere, and then she'll go outside of this. But definitely zone in on the nerdy standoffish ones that like seem afraid of women, and then the buff dumb one who just wants to impress women, and like do those two opposites.
all right, high or low? This is going to determine which one you get first.
Let's go high.
Okay, we got 4, so you're getting the antisocial
Hey,
loner first.
Let's get antisocial in here.
All right, so and there is somebody who seems to be sitting alone, kind of like just staring off into the yard. They're drinking a bit, and they look kind of tired and like wasted a little bit, and like they just don't look. They look kind of pale and sickly, and they just look a little haunted and uncomfortable. Like, you know, they don't look like they're super happy. So you found the pound puppy.
Yay!
Okay.
Does he look like he's drunk already?
He doesn't actually look like he's that drunk. It just looks like he's drinking something.
Okay.
Like maybe he's actually give me an insight check. Let's see how.
Let's go. Okay, 18.
Okay. He looks like he's a little like he's definitely buzzed.
Okay.
But he doesn't seem like he's a high energy drunk.
Okay.
You know, he just seems kind of like whatever drunk, like depressed.
I'm gonna take, before I go into this flirty mood, we still have those drunk berries. Like, we have a whole jug of drunk berries still.
Yep.
So what I would like to do is take like 3 of them and squish them into my flask, and like at the same time like put a good berry that plugs the hole on top, so when I take a swig it'll like be me eating my good berry, and then if I were to pass my flask off they would be getting the drunk berry.
Yeah, this is not your flask with the growing more dangerous by the day sleeping potion, is it?
No. However, I will not
Don't
forget
kill
about that. That is in my must ask permission before use pile. Because I think Nora would.
I might
hurt Una if she did that.
I might murder somebody if I give this. So let's think about this.
No. It'll be like my water flask.
I'm just saying, I love that you're already going in premeditating, like getting this guy like super drunk, like and you don't know anything about him yet.
We're not
He
gonna
just looks
go there, but it's a backup plan. She might need it for the himbo, and she doesn't want to get caught
That's true.
doing it. So like,
Yeah, if they're a true himbos drink their respect women juice.
Yeah.
But I haven't decided for this person yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so you go up to this guy. What's Una's approach?
does he have a drink in his hand?
It's like it looks like he's got a what are they called? Like a tab, like you know, it's
A
like a big
flagon?
run fair. It's a flagon. Thank you, a flagon.
I will try to find a cup that matches his, and
Mhm.
like
There's
sneak it.
servants kind of coming out, giving you some stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they got some casks open, so
Yeah, I will.
Rhys is kind of letting the servants drink a bit and have fun.
I'm not gonna grab like a full one. I'm gonna grab one that's like partially drank and almost empty, so it looks like I've been drinking, and like just take a little sip so I have that boozy scent on my mouth, but like I'm not oozing it. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
you're trying to make it seem like you're drunker, so
Yeah.
they'll open up more. I get it.
Yeah. See, we're getting there.
Yeah, so you approach this guy. He's probably like, he's pretty young, probably only a few years older than Una, like maybe 18, 19, at least in terms of like actual age. I
Yeah.
know Una is a Silky is like 30, but
Hey,
so
she's
so
like
look-
16 at heart. It's fine.
One thing you notice about him is he's not really like attractive. Like he's very plain looking, and he has like a massive like birthmark across his face, which Una wouldn't necessarily find unattractive, but she knows by like standards of this period, because people are assholes, like that's considered really like unattractive. And he has kind of like a flat nose and like mousy hair.
Does a birthmark make any sort of shape at all, or is it just kind of just a big birthmark?
It's just like a big birthmark. Like it doesn't look like, from a modern standpoint, you're like, oh, it's a birthmark, big deal. That doesn't mean he's not like attractive. But for this time period, Una would be like, oh, he's not considered conventionally attractive. So, because people are assholes.
I guess she'll walk over semi-purposely towards him. Does she see if he reacts at all, or if he even notices her?
Yeah, I mean, he seems a little wary, like a little bit like confused why you're walking up to him. And he's like, can I help you?
With a big smile on Una's face, she'd be like, I love your birthmark. That is so pretty. I had a best friend who had one, and he actually married my sister, and I just always thought it was so cool.
I wasn't expecting you to open that. Okay, give me a persuasion check or like a general charisma check,
Okay.
just to see how it's received.
Hey!
You know, like
16 for charisma.
okay.
Persuasion's the same at a 16.
Mm-hmm. You kind of see like he blinks at first, like shocked at like this friendly opening, and at first there's like skepticism, and then his cheeks kind of pinken a bit, like he's like a little bit embarrassed, and is just like,
I'll
Oh.
put my hand out and be like, my name's Una.
He sets the tankard down, and he's like, I'm Micah. I'm one of Rhys's men, or Lord Rhys's men. I gotta not say Rhys's, because they would all say Lord Rhys's men at arms.
It's nice to meet you. So you work here, I'm assuming, and is this your first year being a guard here? Have you been to the festivity before?
I've been here for about 3 years now. I started as a squire, and then I got promoted a couple of years ago. No, I've been here a few years.
Cool.
Where do you work at in Fae, and who do you work for? Because he's like, I don't know heraldry very well.
Oh, I kind of dabble wherever I'm needed, but I was hired by Lord Disturnis. I'm a huge fan of horses, so I was lucky to be hired on to be a stable hand, and this is my second trip here, actually. So I'm just really excited.
Oh, do you like working for Lord Disturnis?
Yeah, he's really nice, pays extremely well. I mean, better than most nobles here, is what I can tell. Yeah, he's really nice, and he brought Lady Rhiannon, who's super generous throughout all of this. I don't think I could have asked to, work with any other better nobles, I guess, for this festivities. It sounds like a lot of these guys are kind of dicks.
He kind of like is a little bit shocked at like just how open and bubbly this person you are, and is just like, yeah, I mean they are. I mean Lord Rhys has been pretty good to me, but I didn't realize like I would have thought Disturnus' servants didn't get paid very well. I heard they had money troubles like the last several years.
Oh, well, we get paid really well, at least what I think is really well. So, I mean, I definitely pays for everything I need and my adventures around the world, or hopefully around the world, one stable at a time. And like she'll like joke, like laugh at her own silly joke.
He kind of gives like an awkward laugh, and then he's like, you see him like kind of like look around, like seeing if anyone's like overhearing, and he's like, do you know if Lord Disturnus is looking for more guards?
Probably. I mean, I could put in a good word for you if you'd like. I mean, you do seem really nice. If you want, we can meet tomorrow and we can chat a little bit more, and I can see if he's interested.
That would, yeah, I mean, if you just don't tell him who or say, I mean, Lord Rhys is a good person, I just, just putting a feeler out there. He seems a little like, give me an insight check.
Yes. Let's go Google. And you bite me in the ass. Okay, sorry. Insight is a 3.
Okay.
Because I rolled a natural
you
1.
can see him like looking around a little bit, like as he like there's nervousness, but you're not sure like what it's associated with, like and couldn't discern like why specifically he's nervous asking about this. But he says, yeah, I mean, if you're interested, I'm a good guard. I mean, I'm not as strong, as I maybe was, but I could get stronger, and I'm pretty smart. I've been learning to read, and
I'm sure you're an awesome guard. So if you don't mind me asking, are you leaving because of the ghost? And she'll lean in really close and like whisper in his ear, but like do like that hand gesture, like how like girls like they brush the hand around the soldier, and like just see if like anything happens with that.
He actually like freezes for a second as you lean in and touch him. It's almost like he stops breathing, but it's not like in a way that Una would know is like a, oh God, like a girl.
Oh,
it's like a panic. It's a panic. Like it's almost like for a moment, like he freezes. Like, give me another, like an insight check. Like,
let's go. We can do this. Let's go, Google. Okay, not bad. An 11.
You're not really sure, like, you can't pinpoint it to something specifically that you've seen before, but there's a little bit of like, there's like kind of terror on his face as you like leaned in and touched him, and like his breathing got really like freezing for a minute, and he, like, you can hear like, you literally, because you just leaned in closer, you're like, you can kind of hear like his heart rate spike, and his eyes like kind of go like, almost like disassociating for a second, and then like he kind of like leans back and is like, sorry, you startled me.
I didn't mean to. That was one of the reasons I came here, is because I was told this place is haunted.
It's sorry. It's just, I don't know why I do that sometimes.
So he just like, he zoned out for like a minute. Like, well, not like a whole minute, but like for like, he like zoned out, and then all of a sudden. Interesting. Yeah. Interesting.
It was almost like a trauma response or something.
Yeah. Nope.
That's clearly how Yeah. But you don't know. Una couldn't associate it with anything other than just like, holy shit. Like, he got scared. Like it wasn't like the jump. Like something happened. Like with her leaning in, whispering, and touching him seductively made him very jumpy. And he's like, I mean, there was the ghost this summer, but they didn't really come into the castle. Or into the keep.
So, it's a succubus. There's a succubus here. I think his dead mom isn't actually dead, and she's sucking the life form. And he's like a spawn of a succubus, which makes him such a big freaking asshole, and why he uses seduction as a technique for torture. Not torture. uses seduction as a technique to get his way. That's probably the best way to describe it. That's my theory. As of now, succubus was the first thing that popped in my mind.
It is an interesting guess. Who can say whether you're right or not?
We'll find out when his mom's a succubus, and we have to kill her. And I'll be like, I told you, Lizzie.
Well, nobody will know except for you. Well, I guess you're gonna have a chance to reconvene with everybody, but okay.
Dude,
so
no,
yeah, Una,
curious. Very curious.
Yeah, I know. Una gets that reaction though of like a mini panic attack, and then he says the ghost never really came into the castle. He's like, I don't know, like it. Just the last couple years of being here, it always felt kind of creepy, and it wasn't so bad like a year ago, and then just the feelings sort of returned, and it's probably just okay, can I be honest with you? Just maybe Lord Disturnus wouldn't want me as a guard, but I got the wasting sickness not long into after my first year of becoming an actual guard here during the winter, and I almost died. Father Neri saved me, and I've kind of just had some like minor health issues ever since then, but Megan's like, what the fuck?
No, succubus is what's happening. She sucks them, and they're pretending it's wasting sickness, and it's not. She's just draining the life force. I call you
Megan
now.
is, like, convinced.
Anyways.
Megan is convinced.
Calling it. Here, now, Lizzie. Succubus. If you change it, you better let me know later.
I will let you know if the game concludes and you don't know. I will answer it in the post-game questionnaire.
I'm writing a note
mysteries.
here that I
So you're
put in
just
my guess.
Succubus!
Having him being afraid of a cute little girl's touch who can like barely. She probably had like a go on her tippy toes to do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's sad. She just tormented this guy.
He didn't seem scared of you
No,
specifically.
but that
It
action.
was the action
Yeah.
made him uncomfortable.
Which is not good. He's never gonna get a girlfriend if he's afraid of that.
Maybe he has trauma to overcome. You don't know.
He's probably like neck suckled by his succubus that made him sick. And he like blocked out those memories. I'm calling it now, Lizzie.
So anyway, I know you're calling it now. We have it in the books. Anyway, so yeah, that was his reaction. He basically was like, he got sick and he's kind of been recovering, and he just doesn't feel like he does say the house like kind of creeps him out, but it didn't always, like it didn't at first, and then it did, and then it got better for a while, and then it's just worse again, and he feels like he just kind of wants to work somewhere else. But he's like, if Lord Disturnus, if you don't want to recommend me because I'm, weak and stuff, I understand. You are new in your job.
I would be glad to talk to him. I know that there's a couple of other stable hands who have worked with him a lot longer than I have, but I'm sure that they would be able to put in a good word for you too if I ask them to. Or maybe you can show a test of skill sometime. Maybe we can do a little dance and, sword fight. I'm not very good with the sword.
Well, I mean, if you're a stable person, I would assume you wouldn't be. But if you want to practice, I'm off in the evenings, so like I normally have day rotations. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing you around. I mean, more. I do have a question that is probably inappropriate to ask, and maybe it's the alcohol or just the night. But like, I've heard a rumor. Oh, you were on for this. I think you were in the hallway when this was asked, where it was like, maybe it was just Nora, where it was like, Felix said to Septima. So you might have heard this, or asked Septima this. He's like, is it true that the Disturnus, like they have women as knights, right?
Yeah.
Is it true that they castrate men?
Well, it depends on what the men do. I'm sure.
Okay. I wonder. I've heard rumors of that, and I wasn't sure if it was true. I didn't want to make assumptions.
Well, I'd hope that any man who would force himself upon a woman would be castrated. So I'm sure that would be a situation in which that could happen.
I mean, and then he kind of like smiles and it's like, yeah, I think that's good. I think that's good.
Well, I suppose I have to go check on the horses. And like she'll like playfully like touch his arm and like turn away and then like have like a little swivel in her hips as she walks away.
He kind of like flinches a bit when you touch him, but then it's kind of like he doesn't go into the same response. It's like a okay, that wasn't bad. It was safe. It was fine. So
that's so weird. Now I really want to find Macho Man to test out this theory to see if he had the same thing or other people who got sick in the winter.
So you're gonna go try to find like more of a jackass sort of himbo-y person.
Yeah, well, so like Una will probably actually leave and like be like go do her zone thing for a little bit, see if she hears anything at this point. If she still hears nothing or sees like the little play demonstration going on, then she'll come back to the party about 5 minutes later and like basically pretend that she went to go pet the horses. Yeah.
Are you looking for a himbo or are you looking for more of like an asshole? Like which jock? Like
probably,
are you looking for like a jock?
Probably more the dumb jock, like the guy who's like maybe like double fisting ales or something, or like trying to flirt with women, or like have women around him, like that kind of stuff, and like perch herself near the ale and like bring out her flask with like the good berry and like pretend to sip it and then like like just kind of like flirtatiously kind of just like all cool, like she's drinking something better than ale because this ale sucks. That type of basically completely opposite of what she just did.
Oh my god. All right, Una, you find somebody. He's kind of like drinking heavily, definitely has like frat boy jock energy. He's a little bit older than Micah, probably more like 22.
Okay.
I have to get into my frat boy head. I've already picked a name. I apologize to anybody who listens with this name. I'm not saying you're a frat boy. It just seems a little bit like a party boy name to me. So if it comes up, I have it ready.
Yeah. Una will just kind of sit there and like make eye contact and like wink towards him if he makes eye contact with her, and just kind of like pretend to slip on her flask, or maybe actually slip and pop a good, like drink the good berry, so that way it's like ready if you were to come over and she could like offer him some.
So give me a charisma check or something. Like, yeah,
Yikes.
Charisma check.
Yikes! Let's go. Oh, this is not good. This is a 9.
Make eye contact, and he's a little bit interested. It's just like you're kind of trying a little too
hard.
Like a little hard. But he still comes over and he says, "You don't have to work that hard to get my attention, little mouse. What's up?"
Little mouse? He called me little mouse? Okay, that's fine.
I was like, what? Una is short and cute. I'm like, what the fuck would he would call her? That would be kind of condescending.
I'm totally writing nickname Una. Una will just kind of smile and be like, well, I was a little too shy to approach you directly, I guess. And just do like the flirtatious smile and batting of the eyes.
God. All right, so he is a little bit of an asshole, Megan, so if you're ever uncomfortable, just let me know, okay?
I've dealt with assholes my whole life. This is gonna be fine.
I know. I'm like, I know. Okay. So he's like, what did you say? Like you just were nervous? Something like that?
Be like, yeah, I guess I was just a little too nervous to approach you or something like that. I can't even remember. My smoothness. I went smooth.
Yeah. He clearly checks you out and he says, don't even worry about it. I have that effect on people. So what's your name?
My name's Una. And yours?
I'm Brody.
Brody. What a bro name. And I'll be like, would you like a drink?
He'll kind of like do that creepy thing, like check you out a bit, and he's like, yeah, if you're offering. And he'll take a drink. And so he's like, let me see. Is he smart enough to figure out who you work for? Ooh, he rolled high. He's like, oh, you're one of the Black Cat's little servants. What's he doing with a mouse working for him?
I just picked up this assignment to come here. This is my second trip here, actually, and I must say I'm really excited about haunted houses and ghosts, and I heard you guys had some, so I tried my best to get here. And look, I'm here.
Oh, well, I mean, that was more of a thing in the summer. And, I, like, flexes. I mean, I helped take care of the ghosts. They were pretty serious,
Oh, did you? And she'll, like, go up to him and, like, touch his chest, like, his muscles as he's flexing.
Oh, God. I'm making him cringe. It's okay.
Sorry.
It's okay. No,
Cringe
no.
the other way. Oh, no.
Not for him. Like, I'm not gonna make you roll for this because it's like he's kind of a drunk frat guy, and he'll.
Well, these drunk berries totally make him freaking toasted.
Yeah. Anyway, he's bragging. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm pretty strong, One of Lord Rhys's best guards. Been here for several years, and there's not really anything dangerous right now. But if it comes up, I'll be sure to protect you."
she'll like lean in and be like, "Oh, that's good to know. I definitely don't know what I'd do if I ever saw an actual ghost, but this castle always kind of gives me the creeps, so I always kind of wanted to come and check it out." And
oh yeah, they're always saying it's haunted by like all the Carle's ancestors and all of that. And to me, I'm like, I feel like the crypts is more of the creepy spot, But people get jumpy. They're like, oh, there's ghosts in the hall, or I saw Lord Rhys's poor mother or whatever at some point, ghost, or I saw like I have a name for this guy. I don't want to look it up because it'll take a while. Okay. Una, I'll give this to you because you read it not long ago when you were reading into Rhys's family history, like not even a few days ago. You read that the Carles had like a bit of a succession crisis when one of Rhys's ancestors, like a few generations ago, was like just a massive man whore, and he never got married, and he had a bunch of illegitimate like children, and there was kind of like a scramble over which one of them would get this seat. So that guy had a name. I'm not gonna look it up right now, and he was kind of known as like he had some sort of like name that implied he was a man whore. Like, but I don't have it in front of me right now. So, but Una read about that because I remember in game explaining that to you. So, he's like, or him, and like all the other heirs who got murdered or whatever, but I haven't seen that. Honestly, the keep's fine. It's just, I mean, the crypts would be the creepiest thing I could think of outside the ghost thing that I took care of. But mostly ghosts just leave me alone because they're scared of me. Are you scared of me?
Pretend to get wide-eyed and be like, oh, the crypts? Do you think you could take me down there sometime?
He's like, I mean, do you want to go now?
Well, maybe not now, but if you'd be okay with a little later when it gets a little darker. Because what time is it now? It's like...
It's like 7 or 8 o'clock at night in like October, so it's dark.
Yeah.
It's completely dark.
Well, son of a bitch.
He's like, how much darker do you want it?
Well, we could wait for the witching hour. I heard that's the best time to see spooky things.
I mean, we could. I gotta be on post again at 1 o'clock though, so any ghost stuff will have to happen pretty quickly.
Well, I'm sure that you can handle anything that's thrown your way. Do you want to say 11:30? We can meet back here?
Yeah, I'll meet you back here at 11:30.
Yeah, she'll be like super flirtatious and that she'll like grab her flask vest. Well, you might not want to have too much of this. This is pretty strong. I'd want to make sure that you are able to stay awake for a tour. And she'll give him like a wink.
He'll kind of like grab it and be like, don't worry, babe, I got stamina. And then he'll totally...
No! No! Oh no, I think he has to make a DC check on that.
It's the drunk
berry,
berry,
the
right?
ones from the Seder.
Yeah, the drunk berries.
Oh, I guess I didn't rate a DC, so it's up to you if he can handle.
Yeah, no, I know what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, he rolled like a 17, so like he definitely is like, oh, you can see it hit him, and is definitely like 2 levels of drunk more than he was before.
Okay.
But he's not passed out or anything.
That's good.
All right, anything else with Brody?
More like just generally talk and like kind of like ramp himself, like help him ramp up and be like, oh yeah, you're so strong, and oh, I bet you could like lift me over your shoulder if we really wanted to. Just like talk him up and like make him like feel like he's a big bad man. And yeah,
he throws some innuendos about there where he's like, I'm really strong and can do quite a bit of interesting things with you if you wanted, you know, but otherwise, like, well, he totally eats it up. Like,
yeah, stroke the ego. Yeah,
he's probably hoping you're stroking someone else.
Probably.
Not that I know.
Yeah, no, we'll just kind of flirt with him and be like, well, you know, I'll see you at 11:30. I have to go check on the horses because the rest of everybody else is enjoying the party. So see you at 11:30 here.
Yeah, see you, little mouse.
Okay, yeah, and she'll like turn around, kind of wiggle her butt, and see if she can see the creepy guy, or not the creepy guy, the nerdy guy, and see if he noticed that she was talking to this guy.
This was pretty far away because he wasn't sitting near the cast. He was like on the other side of the yard, so.
Good. That's what I wanted to know, because I definitely did not want Micah to see what Una was doing with Brody, because Una would feel bad. Really, really
like,
bad.
No, I don't actually like him.
Like, Micah seems like a really nice guy.
I would say it's probably... Is there anything else you wanted to do?
Well, I gathered as much information. I got myself a tour. I got myself a contact for the next day. I'm going to try to plan something that's pranky with Mr. Lordness. I want it to involve his horse and the hunt tomorrow morning without getting anybody else in trouble. I need a good prank. Like, an idea I had was like his saddle. If there's like a compartment where when he sat down on it, like a puff of like dye flew everywhere.
What?
Pour dye into his boots and gloves. So his hands will be stained.
Yeah? You wouldn't get in trouble for that.
Let's do it. Well, the question would be, would he have his gloves there and put them on, or would he already have them when he left the castle, same with his boots? Or would he get dressed at the stables? Or would they be brought up to him from the stables? Or would they just be in his room?
He probably would put on his riding boots, and they're probably in the stable area, and his riding gloves, because like they're by the horse, and then they put them away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The groom would take them.
Because I mean, inside of leather gloves, you can't really tell. Like, they're gonna be a little oily from stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna do that. Yeah. Yep.
Are you gonna? Do you want to wait until next session to do it with everybody here? Do you want to
we can just
try to do it now?
Quickly do it. I mean, Una's just gonna stealth over to his equipment and mix some oil with a couple of her stronger dyes. Like, what's a fun color? Let's do purple.
You don't have purple. You would have had.
I had blue.
Purple was the hard to get.
You had blue. You have
blue,
green,
bright
and
yellow,
and
green,
red. I think.
And red.
Yeah. So let's do blue. So we have like blueberry hands. Well,
I'm surprised you're not doing the metaphorical blood on his.
Well,
hands.
I was thinking about that, but I think that's too much on the nose. And blue is more like ha blue.
Ooh, blue also stains really bad on his hands too. So like, yeah. Okay,
so
yeah.
It's gonna be. I'm gonna try to like primarily get it into the finger of the gloves, not the palm. So his fingers are gonna be blue, and then with his boots, I'm going to put blue in there as well, but like only on like the toes. So, like when he looks in his boot, he's not gonna see that there's anything, but like the toe of the boot will have stuff. So when he pulls his foot out, it's gonna be like blue, and then his fingers are gonna be blue. Okay. Yep, that's what's gonna happen. We're gonna make this happen.
So tell me how Una does this. Like, does she go steal the gloves and the boots, and then return, like, and do them somewhere more, and do this more privately, or does she like go over there? Like, does she pre-mix her stuff and then stuff it in there and then just get out? Like, because it's just gonna depend on the type of skills you do, and like how many stealth checks and stuff you need. So tell me your order of operations of how you're going to do this.
Probably prep everything, recast my familiar, or recast unseen servant, and have my servant follow me just in case I need him. And get like kind of sneak in to do it quickly, but like have my tools ready, if that makes sense. And then like have my unseen servant come tap me on the shoulder if I need to hide.
Okay. So we'll say you kind of go out in the darkness and you prepare your dyes and stuff like outside the stable. And since you're invisible in the dark, like I'm not going to make you roll stealth for that. You can get your oil and your things set up for your bomb. Okay? You're doing a pipe bomb, Una, now. You can spend your 10 minutes to cast Unseen Servant. And then we'll start your stealth checks when you're kind of going past the gambling and just to see if anybody notices you going back towards that part of the stable, like in general. So give me a stealth check to see if you can kind of get around without being noticed.
18.
It is lit in here, so you're not... That's still really good. You managed to get over to where his stuff is unseen.
Okay.
And then where is the unseen servant going to be standing and like watching?
He's going to be in front of the door. No, because then he'll have to open the door.
Because his gloves and boots are probably more in like a cabinet thing nearby, not actually in where the horse is. So like there's probably
I guess
like
it depends on, so like
panel opening hall.
if it's like, so like if it's like the hall this way and the stables are lined and then the cabinets are like the same side of the stall, so like it's like a cross section almost. Like this is like the main walkway and over here is kind of where the cabinets are. Is that how it's like, or are they on the main fairway?
It probably would be cross section.
So then
they'd have to go.
I would have my guard on the corner of the cross section facing where the gambler table is and see like if anybody notices and kind of keep an eye out to make sure nobody's sneaking up on me.
Yep.
Let's go, unseen servant.
Right.
We got this.
All right, give me perception checks.
Perception is... That's not bad. That's a 20.
Okay. You don't see anybody who seems to be coming over this way or anything while you do this, so... I'm trying to think of like what kind of check it would be to like get it in there, like where he wouldn't notice it right away, like get it in there smoothly. Maybe do you have sleight of hand?
I do have sleight of hand.
Okay, give me a sleight of hand check just to see if you can get it in there like smoothly where it looks natural, where he would have to put it all the way on first.
That's a 10.
Okay. You get it in there and you think it's a little like there's a little bit of powder you can see that like hit the inside of like the palm and a little bit like further up the toe of the boot where it's not completely clean, but you brush it off like the outside of the boot where it got and it's not noticeable. It's just like if you look really closely within the shoe before they put it, you would maybe see a little bit of blue, but like it's not super noticeable.
Okay. Yeah, I guess if I can like try to just like make sure it's like as hidden as possible.
Yeah. Okay.
And then like put him back gently and shut the cabinet. And then stroll forward stealthily.
All right.
All
right, give me another stealth check till you can get back to where like Disturnus's horses are to make it look natural.
Okay, that's 12 plus 5 is 17.
All right, you make it back to the horses, and this time it's Rowena over there, checking them, and she's like, "Oh, Florent is dancing. Did you learn, or not dancing, gambling? Like she'll kind of be like, did you learn anything?"
Yes. A, does Lord Disturnus pay well? And B, if not, can we lie and say he does?
I think he pays pretty fairly. I mean, I get paid fairly, and also it's just he's strict, but he's fair. He's a really good employer.
Good.
Why do you ask? She's confused because she's like, "Are you getting paid for this?" I have no idea.
Probably not. I ain't getting paid for this.
The crown will reimburse you.
Yeah, they better.
Do you remember? Don't you remember what Lord Disturnus said? He's like, "Well, we're either gonna be heroes or we're gonna be traitors."
Yep. Pretty much. I'll tell her about Micah and how he seems really nice, but he's looking to get away from this place, and I'll let her know that he had a really bad reaction to being touched, and that he was one of the people who got sick with that withering sickness or wasting sickness and survived. And that he's gonna teach me how to sword fight. And she's like, Una's just gonna give like a big smile because Rowena knows that Una can't sword fight. So this is gonna be interesting. But he's looking for new employment. And he tried to tell me secretively. Or he tried to tell me secretively.
Oh, she's like, I could understand why it might be considered bad taste to poach somebody else's servant, but maybe we can definitely mention it to Lord Disturnus. I think he would at least be interested. I mean, he wouldn't take charity cases, but if the kid has some talent, and maybe, but that's probably going to be a lower priority. But it's something we can definitely keep in mind. Yeah, I got the vibe that a lot of people think like certain parts of I got a vibe that some of the guards think the keep is really like weird, but like I didn't really get more information on like what.
Well, I have a tour in the crypt at midnight, so I'll let you know.
You're gonna go to the crypt at midnight?
Well, it seemed like the best plan.
With Micah?
No, with this. I'd say like Jockhead or like Jock, but like be like the knight, which she's a knight, so she doesn't want to say that. So be like, there's a really big guy who was flirting with me, and I convinced him to take me through the crypts.
Oh, that sounds a little dangerous, but you seem competent. Do you want me to come and just make sure it doesn't get creepy, or there might be actually ghosts?
I think I'm going to ask my other friends because they're more proficient in sneaking around than me and you.
Okay.
No offense. I'm sure you can be sneaky.
Oh, no. I'm not really a stealthy person. I'm not. Yeah. I was never light on my feet, I mean I am, but I get what you're saying.
I mean, I'm sort of light, but I'm also clumsy, but benefit can't see me in shadows, so that's good.
Mm-hmm. I have a question.
Okay.
Did Micah say anyone in the castle made him uncomfortable in particular, or no?
No.
Oh, okay.
Do I remember that correctly?
Like, okay. Yeah,
Okay.
He didn't say anyone. He said he said Lord Rhys was
Nice.
very nice and a good
Yes.
person, but like he didn't mention anybody specifically.
That's what I thought. So I'd be like, no. But I have a feeling someone touched him in a bad place and he did not approve.
I was wondering about that because there was a couple other guards I met that were really like uncomfortable with Vil.
With who?
Vil? You remember the one who was like, I fucking like Wilhelm? And I don't remember what Erin's cover name was, if it was Rowan or not, but she would use that.
I'm so excited, Lizzie. Una will just like light up and like light bulbs everywhere. Be like, I think it's this castle, and I bet you every single one of them got wasting sickness that feels this way. I think.
Yeah, the ones that were scared that I talked to had been sick too. There was only 2 of them, but they were kind of scared, and one of them specifically said he didn't feel comfortable. He didn't like Vil, but he didn't say anything more about it. God, I wish I was better at like getting information. Why can't you get information through swordplay? I don't understand. And she's like,
Well, you can.
she's a fighter.
Just the wrong type of swordplay.
Now you sound like Septima.
Well, sometimes you have to put on a couple of different dresses to see which one fits with the crowd.
That's a good metaphor.
I just made it up.
Now you sound like Lorna. She kind of giggles with you. And then she's like, "Oh, what's going on in the ballroom or the great hall?"
That's a great question. Let me zone into my spider.
Eventually, as the party goes on, Rhys stands and announces that he has hired a troupe of traveling performers to give us a retelling of the famed myth of the god of love. And then afterwards there will be dancing. He just hopes everyone has a good time. And basically in the center area of the tables, they get kind of shifted back a little bit. So there's a little bit more room for the stage. But essentially there's performers that are performing in between the front rows of the tables on the ground and then also the dais. So like the nobles get like at the head table get the best view. It's entertaining, you know, everyone seems to be entertained.
Wonderful.
And then dancing happens. So yeah, that's basically the dance begins. And the very opening dance, you see Rhys turn to Rhiannon and offer her his hand to go out on the dance floor. And she reluctantly accepts it. Ugh, the worst dance possible. Will anything come of it? Find out next time on the Guardians of Fehal.